That is in the last about year and a half. This gentleman has lost 100 pounds. That's right. He's lost 100 pounds. So when I say we almost lost him, I don't mean like, he almost died. But anyway, but getting that temple back in shape and everything else, man. And listen, but here's what I want you to know. And again, we're talking about Mr. Justin Burns. He's known as the go-to guy. He's the authority online selling success in the digital age. Now, y'all remember yesterday I took you through the history of wealth and the mystery, and I told you about the arena that we're in now. Well, and actually, he is an expert in that age. Remember, too many people are still back trying to make money the old-fashioned way. But no, Justin, he's learned he's the go-to guy, and at a very young age, watch this now, not only is he the brains behind the best-selling digital marketing book called Expert Code, but he's also the founder of Miestro. You say, what in the world is Miestro? Oh, don't worry, you'll be hearing about it soon. But it's an online course creation platform, by the way, that I use that allows you to create stunning online courses with the fastest and easiest all-in-one platform. And it's available, can broadcast it to the world in a matter of minutes. I mean, listen, and here's the thing, he's only 32 years of age. So you better get your pens ready. Remember, note takers are money makers, and the weakest ink is stronger than the strongest memory. We're going to bring on our special guest. And my friend, I tell you, you're going to hear him with great delight. Alicia Little spoke so highly of Justin when I got to hear him on another call as well. Just so impressed with his spirit, what he's accomplished already, but more importantly, what he's endeavoring to do. You remember we say if it's not win-win-win, we're not in, but when it's win-win-win, we're all the way in. Well, Justin Burns has that philosophy and is working it to the T. So, Mr. Justin Burns, I present to you the leadership call with Uplift. Take it away, my friend.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Stan, for having me on here. And thank you all who are listening. And I'm excited because I want you guys to truly have that breakthrough. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about how I got started so it can really inspire you to do great things. But what I'm also going to really tell you is the two things that gave me an advantage to really be a young entrepreneur and really get ahead of my competition, right? And so there's a lot of things that I really want to share with you today that's really going to inspire you. But I actually started off about 11 years ago, right? And I started off in my early 20s because I saw, I grew up poor. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and I grew up poor. And my mom never made over $20,000 in a single year. She was an assistant, and that really inspired me to see how hard she was working. She was also a parking garage attendant. And so I saw her working really hard, and it gave me the inspiration to really work hard, okay? And so, but here's the thing. When I was 18, I barely graduated from college, or high school, right? I barely graduated from high school, and here's what happened. I decided that I wasn't going to go to college, and my mom was really disappointed, right? She was really disappointed in me because she really wanted me to go to college, but here's the truth. I didn't feel good enough to go to college. It wasn't that I didn't see the benefit in going to college. It's that I didn't feel good enough to go to college. So I started to work all these jobs, and they used to call me Dr. Fire, right? Because I was fired from every job. This is every entrepreneur's journey, right? Most entrepreneurs. I was fired from every job. So all my friends would make fun of me and say, Justin, let's see how long he lasts on this job. Let's see how long he lasts on this job. And it would always be a couple months in. So I started to go through that. I started to really use that. And again, I had no experience. I had no internet experience. I had none of those things. But I started to just really understand. And here's where everything shifted. I had just got fired from another job, just another job. And I was sitting in the unemployment line. I was standing in the unemployment line. I get this call from a long-term friend of mine. And he said, listen, I want us to meet up. I want us to talk. I want to show you something that I'm working on. And I was like 21 years old. And he said, I want to show you this. And I sat down with him, and we was at Starbucks. And he said, I'm doing this thing on the internet. And I was like, the internet? What do you mean you're doing this thing? You're selling things? I totally didn't get it, right? I totally didn't understand. And I remember I was sitting there, but like something inside of me, guys, like, and watch this. You guys probably have gotten this. You get a vision, or you get somebody, or somebody brings you an idea, and you go, I don't know about that. But then you might be thinking to yourself, but there's something inside of me that wants me to do this, right? And so I kept going. I kept listening. So I took the last money that I had, because again, I was broke. I didn't have any money. I took the last money that I had, and I took a big risk. And my mom, God bless her heart, she didn't want me to do it. She didn't want me, but she was just, as a mother, she was looking out for me, right? So I took this flight to San Diego, where I was meeting up with my friend. The last $200 that I had in my bank account, I literally got on a plane, took off, and the rest is history. We started to build this company, and we ended up selling that company for over 7 figures to someone else. And so this was somebody, again, this was a kid who grew up on the south side of Chicago, who everybody who I spoke to said you wouldn't amount to anything. You wouldn't amount to nothing. That's why you have to watch how you speak to some of these young guys who you don't even see, right? Because I was one of those kids who was sagging his pants. I was one of those kids who had, who lost his identity. But it took one person to inject belief in me. It took one person to tell me what my identity was and how powerful I was. And that's all he spoke in me for over a year, and it transformed. And so, it transformed me. So one of the things I want you to understand is that transformation is not convenient. I want to say that again. Transformation is never convenient. And so
come on, Justin. Wait. Say that one more time, Doc.
Transformation is never convenient, because a lot of us think that transformation is supposed to be convenient, right? But transformation is never convenient, right? It's never convenient. It was actually this. I remember I was reading this book. It was called Mastery. I read it years ago, and it made me even more hungry. See, because here's the thing I want you guys to get. If you could be, you got to understand, a lot of people out in today's, we may think, we see people like Dr. Stan, and, we see all these people, and we see most people are hungry. Let me tell you something. Most people aren't hungry. So if you could get a little hungrier than the rest of people out here, you have the advantage. Because what I realize is a lot of people aren't hungry. When I say hungry, here's what I mean by hungry, because people throw around hungry, like being hungry, being motivated, just throw it around like catchphrases. But see, here's the idea another idea I want to inject. Being hungry and motivated means you are willing to do whatever it takes to get to your vision. So here's what I did, right? When I was reading this book, Master, it said something that was powerful. It said that most masters take a lifetime working on their craft. Most masters so I had to look at myself. When I was like 20, 25, 26, I looked at myself, even though I was young, I looked at myself and I realized my mindset was messed up. I had to be honest with myself. I had to be real with myself. It wasn't that I just all of a sudden started building this company and I had a lot of success. The first thing is I had to break my old self down and build the foundation back up. That's what I did. And so I started to really do this, and then I realized I wasn't taking what God had gave me serious. I wasn't taking it serious, and I'm not just talking about lip service. I'm talking about an action. I wasn't willing to go through the pain. I wasn't willing to go through the suffering. I was really weak. I had to be honest with myself. I was honest, and when I was honest, that is when the power started to come to me. That's when I started to realize that I had to go through the blood, sweat, the tears. So here's what I realized, okay? When I started to do this, here's the 2 things I want you guys to write down. If you do these 2 things, listen, nobody can stop you. You'll be unstoppable, right? One is if you learn daily. So many people, we got Netflix. And here's the thing. I believe in balance. But when you're starting off, you got to do whatever it takes. Guess what I was doing? I was reading 3 hours a day. I was going through courses 3 hours a day. Because I was like, I had to be honest with myself. I wasn't smart like I really wanted to. So a lot of people see me as like this black guy who started a tech company, right? And they say, oh my God. But then when I share my story, of what I did to get there, they say, oh, okay. They say, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Like, because I realized a lot of people not want to do that. And then they say, the question is, well, who has time to do 2 to 3 hours of learning a day? Well, I remember I was listening to an interview by billionaire Warren Buffett, and he said, I read 4 hours a day. This guy is running 100 companies. He reads 4 hours a day. Mark Cuban, who owns the Dallas Mavericks, said, I read 4 hours a day. I said, I can at least read half of that. If these guys who are busier than me and billionaires, they could do it, I could do it. So that was the one thing I possessed, is that I started to read books. I was hungry. I went to conferences. I started to learn from people like Dr. Stan. I would call them up and say, I just want 10 minutes of your time a month. That's all I want. I'm hungry. And here's the thing. Here's the second thing. I call it focus-based patient action. Okay? Focus-based patient action. Here's what I mean. The company that I have now is all bootstrapped, okay, meaning that I funded it out of my own pocket, okay? I took all my money and I started to invest it into this company. Now, here's a lot of people call me a unicorn in the industry because, number one is, not only do I not look like your typical founder of these tech companies, right? You look at Facebook, you see who owns it. Not only do I not look like any of them, but also, you know, the biggest thing is that I'm not funded. I don't have, like, you know, venture capital behind me. I don't have millions of dollars in venture capital. I started it right from the ground up. But here's what I realized, right? Here's one of the biggest keys that I realized. One of the biggest keys that I realized in this was that if I were to be patient and I were to focus on just action, so many people give up so easy. You know, that's why I tell you that it's so easy to really outwin your competition, because most people give up when it's not working after 2 or 3 months. Guess how long this platform took me to build by hand? 2 years, meaning I didn't make any money for almost 2 years. And I did little side things to supplement my income because I've been a full-time entrepreneur for the past, 10 years or so.
Wait, Justin, I think we misheard you. You said it was a whole 2 months and you didn't make any money?
No, I didn't say 2 months. No, I didn't say 2 months. I said almost 2 years. I didn't make any money. Almost 2 years from idea to where it was. Well, let's just say it was about a year. Let's just say about a year and a half, because after that I was like, all right, I'm done with this. We gotta start generating some money, right? But it was about a year and a half that I didn't make any money. But here's what I realized. I was like, I had to tell myself this daily. I said, Justin, you're doing something that not a lot of people will do. A lot of people haven't built tech companies. You have this. I said, you may have a disadvantage of not going to college, but here's the advantage that you do have. You're not programmed. You understand what it takes. You understand the mastery that it's going to take to get there. That's your advantage.
Okay, I apologize. You're saying you had to realize you had an advantage. You didn't go to college because but the thing is, you didn't get programmed on what you couldn't do, so you just believed you could do it, and you did it. Excuse me just for a minute. Folks, are y'all hearing this? I keep telling y'all what they call education is simply indoctrination, and they indoctrinate you to be against true education. But because Justin didn't fall into that old broken down system, he was able to allow his mind. He made up his mind and started reading and started implementing. And so I apologize, man. I'm going to stop interrupting you. But, man, this is so good. Come on, somebody.
Listen.
Hey, this is better than the movie. I need some popcorn. Come on.
Well, the reason why I'm telling you guys this story is because I'm so passionate about it, because now, we run a multi-million-dollar education company. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because, again, once you are able to really understand this and you are able to get this in your mind, right? Like, you can outwin through what everybody has told you throughout your life. You can I remember somebody was telling me this like last year. They said I had a bad year, right? They said I had a bad year. Now, here's the thing. There are some things that are going to happen that are out of our control. But here's what I always say. I say, no, you had a year where you didn't really shift the perspective, right? You didn't shift your perspective on things. So when things happen to me, I shift my perspective on the view of it and look at what I can learn from it as much as I can. Now, granted, there's things like losing family, so we want to be sympathetic to that. But I'm talking about like money issues and health issues. Like Dr. Stan said, I looked at myself about a year ago. That was another thing. I was almost 340 pounds, and I was almost borderline diabetic. And I said to myself, this is horrible. You see, you got to be honest with where you are. It's not criticizing yourself. It's being honest with the place where you're at. That is when you can start to take off. Right? That is when you can start to take off, is that. Okay? Is understanding where are you and being honest with what you have to do. You think it was tough? I started working out almost an hour a day. It was tough. It was horrible. I was breathing hard. But again, patient-based, action-based, or patient-focused. Patient and focused. Understanding that I'm not going to lose weight in 2 days, and that if I stuck with this for almost a year, I'm going to get some results. A year later, I lost 80 pounds. I educated myself on my health. I educated myself on what my body needed, and I lost almost 80 pounds, and then now I'm at 100-pound weight loss, right? So listen, these principles work for every area of life. You learn, and then you take massive patient focus action. Like that's it, over a period of time. And when you lose your motivation, you look at your goal and you say, I am going to be so hungry, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I don't care if I can lose. Listen, guys, back at like about 6 years ago, after we sold that company and I got my portion of it, I put it into a venture and it didn't work. I tried my first software company and it didn't work. It failed. And I pretty much spent most of my money, and my house was going into foreclosure. And I remember I got this letter that said, I had a condo at the time. It was like, you're going into foreclosure. I was like, man, I was freaking out. But I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell my sister. I didn't tell anybody because I was the man of the house, right? And I said, listen, I'm going to figure this out. That's what I said to myself. Of course, I was feeling all bad. I may have lose my house. I may lose my car. I said, I'm going to figure it out. So I sat there, literally went back to my formula, right? Learning 2 hours a day. I'm not talking about school stuff. I'm not talking about work stuff. I'm talking about learning these books, personal development, all business. I started consuming books, started going to the library. If you don't have money, there's resources out here. I was running the other day, a lady, she has a library outside, and I found this book. I was like, wow, I read it in a couple days. Like, there's all these resources of it. Information is around us. The problem is people don't take action on the information, right? So I started consuming. Guess what happened? A year later, I called in, I said, or 6 months later, I called in and I said, my business, I got this business and it's starting to work out. I changed my whole business model. My business started booming. And she said, well, if you could pay this amount off, we'll go ahead and take your home out of foreclosure, because it was literally next month about to go to auction. But I had worked so hard. I was so dedicated. I was so committed that I wrote out my goals, and I looked at it every single day, and I was so committed. I wrote them down, looked at them like 3-4 times a day, every single day, because when I was getting discouraged, I went back to my goals, and I didn't feel like going after my goals. I looked at my goals. I looked at them. I read. I learned. I started taking action, and guess what happened? The fruit started to multiply. It started to come out. And I was able to save my home from foreclosure. Not only that, I paid my house off in cash. I was one of the very few people in my family to do that, because none of my family ever started a business. So it was harder for me. You guys get this? Like, it wasn't easy. Like, people are like, you got this tech company, this education company. Listen, nobody in my family is a business owner. So I had no encouragement. Like, I had no encouragement. I had to figure it. I was like, what do we say? I had to put myself on an island by myself, and I had to burn the boat. That's what I always like to say. I had to put myself on an island, and I had to burn the boat, and I had to figure it out. So if you're listening to this, let's kind of hone this in as we kind of, wrap this up. Now, here's what I want you guys to get, okay? Like, taking all this information and making it really actionable. It doesn't matter where you're at right now. Doesn't matter where you are in life, health-wise, whatever it is, wealth-wise, whatever it is. Here's what I'm telling you. If you take these 3 principles: 1, right? Understand that knowledge is currency, okay? Knowledge is currency. When someone like Dr. Stan is teaching me something, I'm sitting there taking notes. I'm sitting there not only taking notes, but I'm thinking to myself, how can I apply this today? That's always in my thought. How can I apply this information? How can I sit up here and how can I get a result from this information? A lot of us take notes and then we push it to the side and leave it there. And then we think it's supposed to do something in that notebook, right? I say, how do I apply it? So understand knowledge is currency. 2 is become committed to learning, like not just learning, not just going to a seminar once in a while. Be committed to your craft. You want to be a speaker? Well, go to every single Toastmasters or event that you can. You want to be in business? Consume every business course that you can. And even if when it gets overwhelming, keep going. Because the overwhelming part is only your mind telling you that this is new. This is new information. So many of us are so driven by our emotions that we don't realize that sometimes our emotions are not true. Sometimes some of our emotions are, because of the way we've been programmed, some of our emotions aren't true, right? And I want you to understand that. Most of our emotions are programmed because of what we learned. We have to reprogram ourselves. So when you get that pain, it's like, oh my God, this is information. Like me, a lot of people don't know this, but I couldn't read. I didn't know how to read, and it was painful to read. Guess what I kept doing? I kept looking at those pages, and I said, one day my brain is going to get it. One day my brain is going to get it. And I kept believing. And now I read books every single day. I read at least 50 pages a day of a book because my brain gets it. You can program yourself to be whatever you want and make that massive transformation. So then the third thing, like I said, is patient-based focus action. Patient-based focus action. Don't think that you're going to just tomorrow go, or even if something, let's say something get delayed for 6 months. My project got delayed for a year. Guess what happened? You think I gave in? You think I stopped focusing on the vision? No, I didn't stop. I kept showing up every day. When the money was getting tight, I kept going. I said, or when the money was running, I said, oh my God, I kept seeing the vision, and boom, boom, boom. I started meeting people like Dr. Stan. I started meeting people that was like investing in me and started to think about, helping me when it comes to information. And then the transformation was able to manifest. So here's what I want you guys to do. I'm going to, on Monday, I want you guys to text, friends, family, everybody. And I'm going to really be talking about more like how you, on part 2 on Monday, I'm going to be sharing with you guys now, like really putting in, now that you got the inspiration, you got the motivation, I want to share with you tangible things of how you can really transform this year. And I'm going to be talking about I ain't going to share too much, right? I want you guys to come back on Monday. If you love this and it motivated you and it really inspired you, I want you to text your friends. I want you to text your family. I want you to stay, even when people say no, I want you to stay focused on the vision. And on Monday, we're going to really be talking about some tangible things that you could do for transformation and really transforming your business, your life. And I'm going to be really showing you guys some of the things around what I've built, which is my platform, Miestro, which helps people to really monetize what they know and turn it into things like online courses and in the digital space. So you don't want to miss this, okay? You don't want to miss this. So, Dr. Stan, thank you so much. Any thoughts on your end?
Wow. I told y'all he was a young gun, young beast. I told y'all. So, Justin, I appreciate it, man. That was exactly what was needed, straight down the line. I'm going to bring out Pastor Kenny here as we get ready to close out this call. But just so you know, we have double on this call what we normally have. So people already started texting. And so I can't even imagine what's going to happen Monday. But, folks, I'm telling you, I keep telling y'all, you heard him talk about reading and being committed. And so, again, there's a few of you that haven't moved yet on the Breakthrough Challenge. So make sure you go over to the breakthroughchallenge.com, become part of that.